Welcome into Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That is Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We are here for the next couple of hours talking local, regional, and national sports topics, and excited to do so, and excited to have you all listening. Wade, what's up?
What's up?
I see you representing Augusta over there, man. Good
Yeah,
good
man.
stuff.
We're dipping in. This is a novelty shirt, Mo, because this is there's no way to show this, but this is a shirt from the first and presumably only November Masters, the 2020 COVID Masters.
Oh, wow. How did you come up on that?
A friend of a friend won tickets and was, quote, eligible to go. Spoiler, nobody got to go, but you did get access to the gift shop, which some would tell you that's really all you care about anyway, is just being able to get into the gift shop. You can't get the merch anywhere else. I think some people deep down, whether they admit it or not, they want the tickets to go just so they can get their hands on the goodies.
So that they can come back and show you that they've been, all right?
Yeah. Got to go in 18 and 19, but 2020, yeah, the unforgettable, the November Masters tournament. As I wear this shirt, I probably realized I probably should have stashed this and never worn it. Probably could have fetched me some pennies down the road, but here we are.
Maybe if it's not too faded, as long as you didn't wash it in hot water, you might still be able to kind of pass it off. So, it's still nice to have, though. Yeah. We will be talking some Masters here during the next couple of hours. Some events from yesterday and get you up to date on what's going on today as well. In the second hour of the show, we will be joined by Travis Copley of Old Hickory Bats right here in Nashville. Former UT baseball player, going to enlighten us some on the torpedo bats that have been all the rage or all the scourge of Major League Baseball. Pick one. So T-Cop's going to educate us a little bit. In the next segment, in Coach's Corner, we'll be joined by Portland High School Principal David Woods. David is also a member of the TSSAA Legislative Council. They met earlier this week to address some things, and hoping David can break down some of what they addressed in that meeting when we meet with him again here in the next segment. We'll also be talking some NBA. There were some events last night. We'll be talking a little NFL. Again, we'll touch on some Masters, touch on a little Major League Baseball, and whatever else comes across our radar here between now and 4 o'clock. It is Throwback Thursday, and at the top of the second hour, we will be throwing it back to a recent conversation we had with Tennessee State University hockey coach Dwante Abercrombie. Looking forward to revisiting that conversation. It was a lot of fun and very enlightening. So we'll do that again at the top of the second hour. So look out for that. Looking forward to that. Wade, I guess having laid out the landscape for the next couple of hours, we might as well go ahead and get started.
I say we do it, partner.
Let's get into yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
Once more with feeling.
Let's get into yesterday's result
rundown.
Time's the charm here, folks. Buckle up. The Thursday rundown is here, and that means we started off with scores from last night. Let's go to the baseball diamond, where Battle Creek picks up a 14-2 win versus Santa Fe. Centennial topped Brentwood last night 5-4. Clarksville with a 6-1 win out of St. Pius, Georgia. 6-1 again versus the folks down in Georgia. It was 7-0 Coffee County defeating Spring Hill. Creekwood was on top of Montgomery Central 3-1. Eagleville picks up a 1-run victory, 8-7 over Moore County. Good ball game there. CPA 10 runs better than Innsworth. 16-6 was your final. Independence picks up an 8-0 win versus Franklin. Murfreesboro Central Magnet defeating Franklin County 6-5. Same score, different game. Giles County knocks off Marshall County 6-5 here in Pulaski. It was a 12-1 win for Stewart's Creek over Laverne last night. 5-3 was the score as Logan County defeats, that's Logan County, Kentucky, defeating Springfield last night. 3-0. Page was a winner over Ravenwood. Riverdale picks up a 4-3 win versus Blackman. Siegel blanking Rockvale last night 10-0. 4-1 was your score as Nolensville topped Summit. And capping our scoreboard, the Columbia Academy Bulldogs with a nice win, 16-8. They were better than the University School of Nashville to close our baseball scores from Wednesday night.
In softball action on Wednesday, speaking of softball, I got a nugget for you from that York Institute game, Wade.
Baby.
At some point, yeah. Softball from yesterday, though. Murfreesboro Central with a 16-4 win over Cannon County. It was Community 9, Blackman 1. Good pass doubling up Ezel Harding 16-8. Green Hill defeated Coffee County 7-2. Giles County with a 15-5 win over Tullahoma. It was Franklin Road Academy 3, Middle Tennessee Christian 0. Eagleville 12, Moore County 3. Oakland 10-0 over Rockvale, and Wilson Central with a 13-3 win over Gallatin. In flag football action on Wednesday, Blackman blanked Riverdale 25-0. Hendersonville with a 35-13 win over Gallatin. Gallatin took it on the chin twice yesterday, as the Panthers of Portland also got the green wave 20-13. Riverdale with a 19-12 win over Murfreesboro Central. Summit defeated Brentwood 13-7. Franklin defeated Summit 27-7, and Franklin defeated Brentwood 13-7. Independence with a 21-6 win over Centennial. Centennial also falls to Nolensville 34-0. Nolensville edges Independence 13-12. Fairview with a pair of victories yesterday, 27-26 over Page and 20-13 over Ravenwood. Tough day for Ravenwood as they also fell to Page 18-7. Major League Baseball. Tough losses for both Wade's team and my team as the Mariners defeated Houston 7-6 and the Phillies defeated the Braves 4-3. We'll be talking more about both those later in the show. And the Nashville Sounds for the second straight night pick up a shutout victory over the visiting Memphis Redbirds, 3-0 this time at First Horizon Park.
Good win for Nashville. Let's keep the good vibes rolling for the boys. More baseball action, but now let's turn our sights to the schedule for today. We get underway at 4 o'clock when Glencliff travels to Hume Fogg. At 4:30 this evening, it'll be Innsworth at CPA. Lawson will be at Good Pasture, and the Middle Tennessee Monarchs will be at Mount Juliet Christian. 5 o'clock start times for Zion Christian at Columbia Academy and Hampshire at Hickman County. 5:30 showdowns for Sycamore at Waverly and Mount Pleasant at Culleoka. At 6 p.m., you can see Antioch at Ezel Harding. Collinwood will travel to Giles County tonight, non-district matchup there. Also at 6, Richland will travel to Moore County. Raiders versus Raiders, Mo.
All Raiders. My money's on the Raiders.
I like the Raiders to win. We'll let the fans decide which one we're referring to there. Other games at 6 on this Thursday evening. Smyrna will be at Murfreesboro Central Magnet. John Overton is traveling to Oakland. Siegel is on the road at Rockvale. Perry County visiting Santa Fe. East Robertson at Springfield. Coffee County on the road at Stewart's Creek. Spring Hill traveling to Summertown. Watertown will be at Upperman tonight. Lengthy 6 o'clock window here as we have more Monroe County, Kentucky at Westmoreland. Riverdale's on the road at Blackman. Providence Christian traveling to Cannon County. Dixon County will be at Clarksville Academy, and capping our 6 p.m. window is Eagleville at Community. At 6:30, Middle Tennessee Christian will be at Friendship Christian. Greenbrier on the road at Liberty Creek. Columbia will make a trip to Loretto this evening. At 7 o'clock tonight, Westfield, Indiana will be at Mount Juliet, and Station Camp will be at Hendersonville.
In softball action this evening, they don't play for the cowbell in softball, do they, Wade?
No, they should. There will be cowbells, I'm sure, but no, they're not playing for one. But there will be some in the dugouts, I'm sure.
Lawrence County travels to Giles County. That is a 4 o'clock start. You can hear it on Pulaski Citizen Live. At 4:30, Overton is at Hunters Lane. Westmoreland goes to Liberty Creek at 5. Spring Hill is at Lincoln County at 5. Also at 5, Summit is at Ravenwood. Riverside Christian goes to Zion Christian. Waverly is at Fairview. Gallatin hosts Hendersonville. Greenbrier hosting Portland. All those are 5 o'clock starts. At 5:30, Murfreesboro Central is at Tullahoma. Also at 5:30, Columbia Academy is at Battleground Academy. Rockvale is at Blackman. At 6, you've got Nashville Christian traveling to Ezel Harding. Cookville goes to Laverne. Lewis County hosts Summertown. Stewart's Creek is at Lebanon at 6:30. Also at Riverdale is at Oakland. Richland travels to Santa Fe. Wilson Central is at Smyrna. And at 7 o'clock, Coffee County is on the turf at Columbia Central. Boys soccer action at 4:45. Wilson Central is at Smyrna. At 5 o'clock, Ezel Harding travels to Clarksville Academy. Columbia Academy hosts Franklin Road Academy. Providence Christian plays Middle Tennessee Christian. Not sure where. Culleoka is at Battle Creek at 6. Also at 6, Zion Christian is at Dixon Academy. Lawson goes to Glencliff. Loretto hosts Wayne County. White House is at Macon County. Those are all 6 o'clock starts. At 6:30, Lincoln County plays Spring Hill. Not sure where that one is going to take place either. Blackman is at Mount Juliet at 7. And finally, on the pitch, 7 o'clock start for Laverne at Stewart's Creek.
Coming down the home stretch here on this Thursday rundown. Flag football's action on the docket tonight beginning at 8 p.m. Murfreesboro Central Magnet will play crosstown rival Blackman. Major League Baseball tonight at 6:15. You can see it on the MLB Network or on FanDuel Sports South. It'll be the Phillies at the Braves. NHL action tonight at 8. You can see this one on FanDuel as well. It'll be the Preds at the Utah Hockey Club. The lone game not on FanDuel tonight will be at 8:30. Hallelujah, a lot of folks might say. It'll be the Grizzlies with a massive game in the Western Conference. Again, an 8:30 tip-off on TNT or HBO Max. It'll be the T-Wolves entering the FedEx Forum for a pivotal Western Conference showdown late in the regular season. Finally, we close with Sounds action. Memphis is at Nashville tonight beginning at 6:35. Again, the Sounds trying to pick up another win after a nice one yesterday. Redbirds and Sounds at 6:35 in Nashville. That brings us to the end of your Thursday schedule. And ladies and gentlemen, that means the Thursday rundown is in the books.
Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available from 11 a.m. 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. It was announced in San Antonio at the Final Four that Dwight Howard will be going into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame later this year. Rightfully so. 8-time NBA All-Star, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. So he has quite the resume. Looking to add to it this season as he will play in the Big Three, the 3-on-3 league created by Ice Cube. They announced that yesterday. On behalf of the entire league, I want to be the first one to welcome Dwight Howard to the Big Three. His legacy speaks for itself, and he still has fun playing the game. We all know that Dwight Howard can do more on the basketball court than he was able to show in the NBA, so it's going to be nice to see him open up his game and show his all-around skills on the court in the Big Three. Interesting. 18 years in the NBA, 7 different teams, won an NBA title with the Lakers in 2020. Again, first team All-NBA on 8 different occasions, including 5 straight from 2008 to 2012. 5-time rebounding champion. I guess if you can still play, why not, right?
Yeah, Dwight Howard feels like this feels perfect for Dwight Howard. Kind of a novelty, which at times, as good as he was still kind of viewed a little bit as a novelty. He was such an elite defender, but obviously everybody remembers the 2008 dunk contest. He kind of had this larger persona about him. So in some respects, this kind of feels like for a guy that maybe still wants to play, this feels like the perfect fit for him, and obviously probably going to bring a little extra attention to the Big Three, you would think.
Yeah, you would think that. I don't know that there's another name in the league that carries the cachet that a Dwight Howard does. So yeah, from this feels way bigger from the Big Three's standpoint than it does maybe from Dwight Howard's standpoint.
I think so. This is kind of especially with the advent of, or the success really of Athletes Unlimited, but also, we saw Unrivaled kind of burst onto the scenes. Feels like the big three, kind of not as much buzz, kind of not getting talked about in the same circles. So a chance to bring in a guy who will, at least in LA, I love, he's back in LA, just not in an NBA roster. So he still carries some weight there, and that'll be a good fit for him. It feels like a place where he can have some fun, still get out and play the game that he loves, obviously, and, get a little extra cash on the side. Never hurt anybody. So
no,
this will be great because we're talking about one of the all-time great players at the center position. And you just mentioned, is there anything more fitting than the only championship that Dwight Howard won came in the bubble? It just feels like everything this guy did, for as great as he was just this odd kind of character off the court. And it just feels like he is kind of a great fit for this, in my mind, at least. I don't know what this will do for ratings. I don't know what this necessarily will do for him, but it feels like a natural pairing between these two.
Yeah, it feels like it's going to create some buzz for a league that, again, as you said, with Athletes Unlimited and Unrivaled, and obviously the WNBA will be going on this summer and trying to continue to ride their wave. It sounds like, the big three is in danger of kind of getting left behind. They are going to go to a city-based format this time around. The LA Riot will join teams based in Boston, Chicago, Dallas, Detroit, Houston, Miami, and the DC area. So they're kind of changing things up, and it seems like they are trying to kind of find their niche and find some buzz there. And you would think that Dwight Howard would help with that to some degree. So Dwight Howard's career not over. I don't know how many active players have been inducted into the Hall of Fame, but that'll be the case for him. So stay tuned. Let's take a break here on the Throwback Thursday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return, it'll be time for Coach's Corner, and we will be joined by Portland principal David Woods. Stick around.
Step into the Lionel retail store at Opry Mills, Nashville, and you'll be captivated by all the magic of the 123-year history of Lionel trains. Whether you're already a train enthusiast or just getting started, Lionel will energize your love for trains. NASCAR fan? Come check out your local Lionel station to learn all there is to know about model trains and die-cast NASCAR collectibles. Visit nashville.lionel.com or call 615-455-9399.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
Throwback Thursday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. It is time for Coach's Corner, and we are pleased to be joined now by Portland High School Principal David Woods. In addition to his administrative duties up in North Sumner County, David is also a sitting member of the TSSAA Legislative Council, which held a meeting earlier this week. David, first of all, good afternoon, and thanks for coming in with us today.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Talk to us a little, David, if you would, about what took place at that meeting on Tuesday, because I know there's a lot going on right now with eligibility rules and transfer rules and residence rules, particularly as they relate to private and boarding schools, different things like that. Y'all are really kind of under the gun, more so than you have been in a while. What did y'all address Tuesday?
Well, first of all, maybe I didn't know what I was getting into when I put my name in the hat for this back in the fall at our regional meeting. But I took a stab at replacing Art Crook from Station Camp. He's retiring this year and moving out of state. So I took his spot for the Section 5 of our TSSAA. But yeah, it's been a little bit of a hornet's nest with the recruiting rules and stuff like, not recruiting, but transfer rules like that. So we discussed several things. Quite frankly, we've had probably 3 or 4 meetings, a few more than normal, just because of everything going on. So you kind of tell me where you want to go, because we had talked about girls flag football, talked about transfer, a little bit about residence, all of that kind of stuff. So where do you want to start?
Let's start with girls flag football, actually, because this is the first year for Sumner County, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yep, first year. We had games last night. Portland came away 1-1, got a win over Gallatin, lost to Station Camp, but it's been really good. In fact, my daughter's actually playing on our team, and we were talking at the meeting on Tuesday. We now have 150 teams across the state of Tennessee participating. So it's now kind of to the Board of Control to decide whether or not we're going to start having a state championship in that. And if we do, we're going to have to figure out when we're going to play it. Is it going to be a fall sport, or is it going to be a spring sport? Because there are some schools that have been playing in the fall. I think the majority are in the spring right now. There wasn't any action taken on that by us. The TSSAA is going to send out a questionnaire the next week or so, all the member schools, just trying to narrow it down. I don't think it's not going to be perfect for everybody. They're kind of wanting to know, okay, how many girls do you have playing flag that are playing soccer or playing volleyball, playing girls basketball? And then just trying to figure out where we're going to put it. There was a good argument. I think it was from the Knoxville area schools. They played it in the fall, but they didn't start right away like golf and stuff. They waited almost until the very end of volleyball and soccer, kind of late fall, and took it through the 1st of December. And their argument was just facilities, because in the spring, with a busy track and field schedule like they have, they don't have the facilities in the spring to do it. But with it being in the fall, they could go ahead and play some weeknight games in the football stadiums. So I thought that was a pretty compelling argument I heard from some of the council members. Well, like I said, nothing's set in stone there yet. We're going to send questionnaires out, and then I got a feeling in the months coming, we'll know exactly when and where that's going to be.
David, while we're talking flag football, I'm curious genuinely here. How much of this are you guys and gals kind of just flying by the seat of your pants and just trying to figure things out as you go? Presumably there is a little bit of a roadmap, but I guess I'm curious how much of that roadmap kind of really is laid out and how much is just seeing what works and what doesn't in your mind at this point.
Well, especially with the rules, you can tell the fans have no idea what the rules are because nobody's yelling at the refs. All right, so, but yeah, for Sumner County, for our first year, we're just playing the 7 or 8 schools in our county against each other, 1 hour double headers on Saturday. The reason why we played last night is because of the storms this past weekend. So we wrap up this coming weekend with our season. But yeah, it's been an adjustment. I mean, like on our team in particular, we've got girls from that are cheerleaders, dance team members, girls soccer, volleyball, girls basketball. Some kids don't play anything, and just getting them all together and all being at the same point, it's been fun, but it's also been a little frustrating at times trying to figure it all out. A lot of people are ahead of the curve. I know Williamson County has been doing it for quite a while, and I think even Clarksville Montgomery's been doing it for maybe 3 years now or something like that. So this is our first year, so 100% we are trying to figure it out, figuring out how to fly the plane as we're building it. But like I said, 150 schools in the state.
Wow.
It's growing by the minute. So I got a feeling the state championship's coming in the very near future for that.
You know, David, as you mentioned, you've got a daughter playing. What kind of it's got to be fun watching them improve, you know, from the start of this season to, you know, you said this weekend is y'all's final week of the season, just seeing the improvement across the board in such a short period of time, I would imagine.
It's been crazy. I mean, from the first time these kids went out to practice and played that first Saturday game until last night, everybody in our whole district of teams, they figured out where you need to reach for the flag, where you don't need to reach for the flag, all the little nuances. You know, I saw a ref call last night. It was called flag guarding.
Mm-hmm.
On my daughter, I was like, she doesn't even know what she's doing, but evidently she put her hand down by her flag to protect it. So it's been a lot of fun for sure.
I mean, if you can get away with it, that's great. But hopefully that's not
she
happening.
She didn't have a clue what it was called. She just
yeah.
David, I guess the biggest thing going on is again the residence rule, and what is the motivation behind taking that on, and where did y'all get to with that?
I'm not, to be honest with you, that one's you can get in the weeds in that real quick. So I don't know as much. You might need to give Mark a call and get him on here one day, because he can go all over the place. But I know that there were just some discrepancies with especially the boarding schools in Tennessee. The 6 boarding schools, they were kind of under some different residency rules than everybody else, which, to be honest with you, the boarding schools themselves kind of said it sometimes lends for an unfair advantage for them because the way they do it. So we took some action at the previous meeting that basically stated that if a student coming from another country, because there's been a lot of talk about some students coming in from Canada, especially recently, to the boarding schools, that if they exhausted their eligibility in the country they're coming from, they were no longer going to be eligible. Because a lot of times, you know, in Canada, it seems like 10th grade or something, that's the end of their high school time there. It's kind of weird. It was new to me. I'd never heard about this. But then the other day, we just had some proposals in front of us, and a lot about where you live, who you live with, and the board decided just to take the residency rule off as far as eliminating it for all kids. So I'm not going to have to necessarily at Portland High School go out there and see if Johnny has been living with mom for 12 months. Maybe he's lived with mom for 12 months, and then something's happened there, and or 6 months and had to live with grandma, but he's still in my zone. So that's going to allow him to continue to be eligible and not get caught up in the weeds of having to live with that same exact person, as long as he's still in your
in your zone.
Your zone. It's the best I can understand it. It's far from the public school side of things.
Right. And a proposed change by Christ Presbyterian Academy to determine classification in the same manner for all schools within a division. You know, I've read that a couple of times, and I'm still not quite sure that I understand it. So I'm hoping that you do.
Maybe about as good as you do. They did a really good presentation on that, and they were just wanting it kind of be fair, and I'm trying to look and find that one myself, the Christ Presbyterian one. I printed off the minutes that they sent out, and I can't find it right in front of me right now. But they were just.
I'm looking at it, and it says, Article 1, Section 3, for tournament competition, there shall be 2 categories. Division 1 shall consist of all member public schools. Division 2 shall consist of all member independent schools. And then the proposal was an addition, Section 4. For each sport, the method of determining classification shall be the same for all schools within a division.
Yeah. The proposal will require the rules for determining classification to be set and applied in the same manner to all classification divisions in sports. It was tabled during our December meeting, and Christ Presbyterian came back and revised their proposal. They came back several times to the meetings and explained to them that just, it's maybe not fair necessarily to just classify one sport one way, but not the other. So however you're going to classify it, make it consistent across the board with those sports. And I believe we voted 12-0 to approve that one.
Okay.
Because once they talked about it, it made more sense.
Okay.
Now, I think I told you I was not present for the meeting. I was on a Zoom. I wasn't in the room when all was going on a little bit. So sometimes that audio is not the best in the world. But I kind of understood what they were trying to get to there. They just, if you're going to use like a success factor or something, if you're going to do that for football for that Division 2, then do it for basketball and stuff as well. So we'll have to see how that plays out coming down the road with the border control.
Okay. All right. So this is kind of getting at the success factor more than anything, I guess.
It could be, maybe, but if you're going to do it, then let's do it for basketball too.
Okay.
Not just football. Let's do it for softball type of.
Dr. David Woods, Portland High School principal, joining us here on Coach's Corner. David, we talked a little bit yesterday afternoon, and as we were talking about bringing you on today about, the transfer rule, and we've gotten, I guess, to a one-time freebie at any point during your high school career. Is that accurate? Is that where we're at right now?
I wouldn't just say freebie. There are some guide rails with that. So back at the previous meeting, not this one, we did pass a transfer rule, but it had to be for non-athletic reasons. Had to be academic, social, emotional, something of that nature. And you could transfer without potentially having to change addresses if those things were proven. And the way it kind of read is, for example, let's say I have a student that wants to leave my school and transfer out down the road to East Robertson. They're fairly close. They would not have to move into East Robertson zone if the reason was because East Robertson offered some kind of academic program we didn't have, or if there was some proof of social or emotional disturbance here and they needed like a fresh start somewhere else. Now that one right there gets a little tricky because a lot of people don't want to be talking about that one. But the way it's stated is that the principal from the school that student's leaving, they would have a certain amount of time to either say, yes, they're leaving for the right reasons, or no, they're not. And if a principal were to fail to do either one of those, it would be just considered as they're okay to leave. Because there was some just talk about there may be some principals that really don't want to say one way or the other. And I could see where that might be an issue. So if they weren't going to say, then the student would be allowed to leave. However, in a system like mine, the school system, Sumner County or Clarksville, Montgomery, or whatever, they have rules in place already that would kind of trump anything the TSSAA does, because we don't allow students to jump ship to go play. Like, for example, if a kid wanted to go from Portland to Station Camp, they're not going to be doing that without going through the superintendent first. So the superintendent would still have his hands on top of that.
Okay. David, as that rule stands where the transfer can't be for athletic reasons, we had Stephen Hargis of the Chattanooga Times Free Press on a few weeks ago, not long after that was acted on. And maybe he and I and Wade have been in the game too long. I don't know, but it just feels like that's a rule that's waiting to be abused.
Well, there's a lot of them that are, and I don't care what the rules are. There's always going to be somebody somewhere that's going to try to find the loophole or the way around it. That's one good thing I think about the TSSAA. I've been here since 2000, 24 years in the state of Tennessee. For the most part, they're pretty good and fairly consistent with the way they've been doing things. I coach sports at Beach High School, boys basketball, girls softball before I came here. So I've had a lot of dealings with them. And that's the biggest thing we're trying, because as I'm sure y'all are aware, there was some legislation been put out about a one-time transfer. And I think they were kind of wanting it like the NCAA portal, where it's transfer for whatever reason, right? I don't like Mr. Woods as my coach, so I want to go to Coach Patton. I want to go play for him.
You don't want that.
No, we did not want to get in that wild, wild west. So we're trying to make it to where it could still be a transfer without having to move, but there had to be some guide rails around that. And so we are really, really trying to keep that in-house, because right now as we speak, House Bill, I think it was 25, it's going on the House floor. Senate Bill 16 just passed Monday, 25-4, to have a similar thing that we're talking about here, transfer rule, but they're trying to kind of make it a state law as opposed to with the TSSAA. And that's where we just really feel like that kind of stuff should stay with the TSSAA organization and not be put as a state law, because they've got way too many bigger fish to fry, in my opinion. And I think we could handle it a lot better, and changes that need to be made, we can make those probably a lot easier, just with some called meetings, because once it goes as a state law, you're not changing that until
anytime soon.
Yes. Yeah. You got once a year shot at it. And if we had some issues arise, like you said, there potentially some abuse out there, we could meet and say, put some more guide rails on it, take some off, something like that. But once it becomes state law, then it's pretty much could potentially be a free-for-all situation. We just want to try to keep it with TSSAA.
Wait, did you have anything? You look kind of inquisitive there.
Well, that David kind of answered my question there, because I was curious if what the temperature is. Do more administrators feel comfortable letting kind of state lawmakers make the decision, or would you rather TSSAA make that? And it seems like you kind of answered. You'd prefer TSSAA. They know the language, and the big point that you just mentioned to me was it's quicker to change. If it doesn't work, you can maybe call a meeting here, call a meeting there, and get it turned around seemingly a lot quicker than having to rely on another legislative session meeting.
True, and the organization deals with it every day, right?
Right.
The TSSAA, Mark Reeves and his crew down there, and principals, athletic. We're in this stuff all the time, every day, all year, and they're not. So we see a lot closer to the vest what could happen or couldn't happen. So it's been thought through a little bit. When we put out the survey to the membership, the 300 or so schools back in the fall, I think it was a 60-40, somewhere in that 60-40 split as to whether they wanted to mess with the transfer rule, because a lot of people are nervous and are scared. Like you said, Maurice, that it's just going to be the wild, wild west, right? They did not want that for sure. So that's why we tried to put some guide rules. But at the end of the day, what we put into the bylaws, I mean, that stuff kind of happens now anyway, to be honest with you. You know, if a kid comes to me and says, hey, I want to go to Liberty Creek High School because they have aerospace and you don't, you know, we try to make that happen because we're all in the business of doing what's right by kids first. That is our first and foremost goal. I don't care if you're a member of TSSAA, if you're sitting in my seat. So that's kind of already there. And if a kid is really struggling with something emotionally and socially at your school and they need to go somewhere else, I don't know of too many administrators that aren't going to try to help them figure that out anyway. So it's in bylaws, yeah, but it's something we've been practicing, quite frankly, already. So
Dr. David Woods, excuse me, principal at Portland High School, joining us here on Coach's Corner.
Maurice, where's your master stuff? I see me and him's got it going on.
Who's your pick, Dr. Woods? Give me one.
I want to see Rory get this thing done. It's that meltdown he had a few years ago on hole 10, standing in those bushes over there, just about killed me. And I'm not a huge Rory fan. I've become a bigger fan. I've been a Tiger fan all my life, but I want to see Rory finally get this thing done.
That'd be nice. And I remember that when they say he's hit the ball somewhere we didn't know that it was possible. You know, he's like in between the two cabins. That's never a good thing.
No, that's about as far left of 10 as you can go. It was up there by the little cabins. Yeah.
Other thing, real quick, I wanted to ask you, David, was am I reading this correct? You got some experience in Kentucky prior to coming to the volunteer state?
Yeah, I was born and raised in a little town called Morganfield, Kentucky. We go by counties there, Union County, and so I played high school sports there. And my first teaching job was at Allen County, Scottsville, right across the border here. And I still live in Bowling Green, and I drive down here every day. But yeah, I've been in Kentucky quite a bit.
Hang on, Wade, before you go any further. Union County. You didn't wrestle up there, did you?
I did not wrestle, but I knew Loaders Rollers very well, and some of my best friends did wrestle.
Man, I tell you what, I covered a few of their teams at the GP West Invitational down at Brentwood and over at Father Ryan. They got it going on with that program. I would think that's probably one of the better programs in Kentucky, and they
100%.
Yeah. So okay, go ahead, Wade.
Well, I was just going to ask where your allegiances lie. Are you Big Blue Nation? And if so, how would you evaluate this first season under Coach Pope?
Yeah, I'm 100% Big Blue. I get to take it beating around here all the time because Tennessee's better than everything of us right now, supposedly. So I take it. At first, I was like everybody else. I was wanting a big home run hire with a Danny Hurley or all these guys. But then when they got Mark and seen what he's done for first year, I thought it was pretty successful, being he had 0 players on the roster when he took over about this time last year for Cal, and then Cal took all the guys with him. So very excited. I've been watching the transfer portal like crazy. I think we're doing very well there, and he's bringing some guys back, and so we'll start building it. But I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's going to be good. But the SEC, dear Lord, it's bloodbath, man. Everybody's good. Everybody.
Final piece there. What was the reaction like walking the halls? Kentucky beats Tennessee twice in the regular season, and we saw what happened in March Madness, obviously. How bitter of a pill was that to swallow for you?
It wasn't that bad, really. I mean, I didn't think we'd beat them twice.
You're one of the few rational Kentucky fans, it sounds like.
Yeah, what it sounds like. Yeah.
Rick Barnes. I love Rick Barnes. I'm not a Tennessee fan at all. I cheer for him to lose at all costs. But I love Rick Barnes. And when he came there a few years ago and everybody's complaining, I'm like, you guys are nuts. This guy can coach. And so those 2 wins, I mean, I couldn't find my Tennessee people around there. They were hiding. But the third game, I figured the third time I didn't think we were going to beat them. I thought we were going to lose 5 or 6 points. And they came out on fire and were definitely a better team. But they should have saved a little bit of that for the next game because they didn't do well the next one.
Hello. Dr. David Woods joining us here on Coach's Corner on Main Street Sports Today. Coach, Doc, we appreciate your time, man, and good luck as you continue your work with the Legislative Council. I know that, like you said, you kind of got thrown into the fire with Art's departure, but we appreciate your effort, and hopefully things will calm down for y'all.
Yeah, I hope so. Like I said, go, whether you're an administrator here or with TW is trying to do right by our students and our student athletes. So if we keep that goal in mind and make that our priority, I don't see where we can go wrong.
There you go. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
Hey, before we dip out of here, we've got some awards that we need to hand out. First of all, our Custom Stone Handlers Team of the Week. That's our Custom Stone Handlers In to Win Life Team of the Week is the Columbia Academy softball team. In the week in question, they won 3 district games. They defeated Providence Christian 11-1, and they recorded a pair of victories over Franklin Road Academy 3-1 and 10-2. Going 3-0 in District 3, Division 2A. The Lady Bulldogs are our Custom Stone Handlers In to Win Life Team of the Week. Besides the military, there's no greater team building experience than sports. Custom Stone Handlers invites you to get in the game. Congrats to the CA Lady Bulldogs. And our Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia Athlete of the Week is Columbia Academy senior pitcher Anna Brewer, who pitched in all 3 of those ball games, won all 3 of those ball games, obviously. And if I can get to her numbers, I can tell you just how impressive she was. 43 strikeouts in 20 innings in the circle. She also went 7 for 9 with 5 doubles and 6 runs batted in. So getting it done in the circle and at the plate was Stanford signee, Columbia Academy senior Anna Brewer, our TOA of Columbia Athlete of the Week. Congratulations to her and to her teammates as the Custom Stone Handlers In to Win Life Team of the Week. Let's take a break here on Throwback Thursday on Main Street Sports Today. When we return, we'll dip into the grab bag. Stick around.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today continues. At the top of the next hour, we will be throwing it back to a recent conversation that we had with Tennessee State University hockey coach Duante Abercrombie. So stick around for that. Right now, though, it's time to get into the grab bag. And Wade, when I saw that Luka had 31 points at the half last night at the American Airlines Center, I just thought, oh, he's going to go completely nuclear. I'm thinking 60, 55. it looks like he kind of eased up in the second half, finished up with 45. Obviously, the Lakers got the victory, but maybe he just felt like he had proven his point.
Yeah, I'm like you. Got the notice saying, hey, Luka is on fire, and he was doing it all. He had 2 or 3 steals in the first half. I mean, he had multiple rebounds. He wasn't just kind of a one-trick pony. He was putting on a show and kind of giving the Mavs fans a little twist in the knife. Did see, man, some custom Lakers Nico Harrison jerseys were spotted in the crowd last night. I mean, it was about as bad of a situation as you could really hope for. Props to Dallas for keeping it reasonably competitive, considering, and slowing Luka down in the second half, considering, like you said, just on fire in that opening 2 quarters last night.
Finishes with 45. Again, the Lakers win it going away. 112-97, the final there. Meanwhile, San Antonio kind of does the Grizzlies a solid. The Grizzlies in that 4-team logjam for 4th or 7th in the Western Conference as the season winds down. Well, Harrison Barnes, former Golden State Warrior, knocks in a buzzer beater to down Golden State 114-111. And with that, as of right now, the Warriors are in the number 7 spot and facing a play-in game. Now, obviously, there's a lot of games, well, a lot of time, I guess, 2-3 games for each of those folks. So there's still a lot of movement possible, but not a great place for the Warriors, and elevates Memphis again out of that play-in for the moment.
Yeah, helped the Grizz out and kind of made the Grizz recipe pretty simple. If they win their final 3 games, Wolves tonight, at the Nuggets Friday, and then the Mavericks at home on Sunday, they will finish no worse than 5th. They'll be locked into that 4-5 battle. Don't know if it'll be 4, don't know if it'll be 5, if they win all 3. Beyond that, everything gets dicey. I mean, we're talking crazy tiebreaker situations in college. Think about college basketball, right? We talked about we don't want any part of those tiebreakers. That's kind of what we're talking about here down the stretch in these permutations. But yeah, good win for the Grizz versus the Hornets, and then kind of got a win in a sense last night when the Spurs, who, not actively tanking, a little too late for that after the injury to Wemby, but probably didn't think you would go into Golden State and pick up the win, and Harrison Barnes getting it done right there at the buzzer.
No doubt. Couldn't get through a show without some transfer portal talk, and Vanderbilt continues to be active in that aspect of recruiting. TCU point guard Frankie Collins, who played in 9 games this past season, the last of which was against Vanderbilt, is now a Commodore, apparently. It'll be his 4th different school. Started at Michigan, transferred to Arizona State, spent this season at TCU. Again, played in 9 games before he broke his foot, and played against Vanderbilt in December 8th. 6 points, 3 boards, 7 assists, and 2 steals in the Commodores' 83-74 win against TCU. Again, sustained a broken foot, or left the game as a result of a broken foot. I don't know if he did it in the game or just realized it during the game, but did not play again the rest of the year. And I guess the Commodores kind of left an impression on him because he's coming to Nashville. Their 3rd transfer portal pickup after North Carolina post Jalen Washington and Jacksonville State post Mason Nicholson, who incidentally played high school ball together in Gary, Indiana. That was crazy. But apparently Collins visited Oklahoma as well before settling on Mark Byington and the Commodores. Nice get.
Yeah, good pickup for them. He's come a long way since his freshman season as part of Juwan Howard's team. But he came off the bench as a freshman, and he's not going to blow you away with your offense. And based on those numbers you kind of rattled off, he's improved, but not a ton in terms of the offense. But what he is, he's a great defender. A couple of times he was on that Pac-12 all-defensive team back when the Pac-12 was a thing, believe it or not. And so he brings some good defense. I'd be curious to see how he plugs in. Not the absolute best in terms of portal grabs, but he's a guy that can help you. He's a guy that, if you're not relying on him a ton, he's a great player to have on your team. I don't mean that in any disrespect toward him. I mean, if you're relying on him as a key kind of role player, that is fantastic. Mm-hmm. If he ends up trying to having to facilitate and do some things, that means that Vanderbilt probably has gotten off track a little bit. But this is a good pickup for them. You're right.
Okay. Down in Augusta, what's it looking like, Wade? Because yesterday there was a moment for the ages in the par 3 tournament, but what do we got today?
Well, and there were great moments, and you got the kids out there, you got the spouses out there, but for me the funniest by far was Harris English finished 33 over at the par 3, and maybe that was by design. We talk about the par 3 curse. Harris English is tied for 6. He shot a 2 under today. So maybe he said, you know what? I don't want any part of this. I'm just out here goofing off. I don't know if he had his kid playing for him or what, but he's in the top 10. Justin Rose is a couple shots clear of everybody at 6 under. And then you got a little bit of a log jam. Corey Connors is in the books with 4 under, as is Scheffler, who just wrapped up just maybe 5 minutes ago here. Rory is tied for fourth rather at 3 unders. He's making the turn. Looking for some other notables here.
Where is Echeverria?
Let's see. He actually is on one of these featured groups, I thought. Let me get back to you on that. But,
okay, because he won the par 3, and as you were mentioning, no
shot one over.
No one who has won the par 3 has ever won the real tournament. So it seems you can probably take him out of contention as a result of yesterday's performance. But the stage belonged not to Rory McIlroy yesterday, but to 4-year-old Poppy McIlroy. And let's show you why.
Just ease it on.
Just tap it in. This was a downhill lie for Poppy, and
don't need much.
It's online, and it got some momentum, and it didn't.
Oh yeah.
And it's almost like either
dunked it with the softest of touch.
It's either she didn't realize what she had done, or she's like, y'all, I had this all along. I'm not sure which, but Poppy getting it done on the par 3 yesterday. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. It is Throwback Thursday, and when we return, we'll be throwing it back to our recent conversation with TSU hockey coach Dwante Abercrombie. Stick around.
Hi, I'm Dr. Vilay Saisuka, CEO and founder of Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee here in Murfreesboro. We offer foot and ankle care from ingrown toenails to diabetic foot wounds. We also fix ankle fractures and things like that.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Announced a couple of years ago that TSU would be instituting a hockey program, and about a year after that, they reached out and hired a coach, Dwante Abercrombie. And the program is in the news again this week, and that was kind of what prompted us to reach out to Coach Abercrombie, who is now with us. Coach, thanks for joining us. Good afternoon.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. As I was saying, did you know that a $10,000 donation was coming from Ben Crump this week before it was announced, or how did that play out?
Yeah, I'm in a Minneapolis hotel, so let me know if the connection's all right.
Oh, so far so good.
All right, perfect. Yeah, it's that's just goes to show you how small the hockey world is. There's a former family that I've worked with in the past that just happens to be connected with Ben Crump Law and said this is an individual that you should reach out to. And within a few minutes of the call, he was like, I absolutely want to support. Ben Crump Law mentioned to us that they wanted to support and they wanted to post. Like it came from nowhere. But I'm not surprised because so many people want to see Tennessee State University hockey be successful. And I guess Ben Crump's just one of the first to jump on, but there's plenty of people right behind.
Got to make you feel good that there is so much support behind a program that has yet to hit the ice.
I knew that was going to be the case, though. When Nick Guerrero called me last December, actually not last December, 2 Decembers ago, speaking about the program and the possibility of me joining as the future head coach, I knew the type of support that was out there in the hockey community. I knew what this meant to a lot of people, not just in the hockey space, but in general population for a program like ours to begin. It's a level of visibility that a lot of people have been looking for, and I'm happy to be the person that's in charge with the task of being the head coach.
When the program was announced back in June 23, I guess the concept was that it would begin as a club sport and then it would move into NCAA competition. Is that still kind of the path that you all expect to follow, and is the timetable still to get on the ice for 25-26 at this point?
Yes, 25-26 is absolutely when we plan to play. This upcoming October is when we're supposed to drop the puck on our inaugural season. And ever since I've signed with Tennessee State, us being an NCAA Division I school, NCAA Division I has been all that we've been focused on.
Okay. How is recruiting going?
Recruiting is going very well. Obviously, recruiting is a lot of miles. Have traveled quite a bit over to, obviously, as far west as Vancouver, and as far east as the East Coast, Washington, D.C., and up through Jersey and Boston. So it's been really, really good. The respect on the road is still there, not only just for Tennessee State, but just for the sport of hockey and hockey in the South. And then the conversations, even if over the phone, everybody's excited about having an opportunity to be a builder. Like how many times you get a chance in your individual careers to truly build something from scratch and being a part of starting a legacy that will live on forever. And these individuals, their parents, their advisors, even their coaches, that's what they want. They want these kids to have an opportunity, or these young men to have an opportunity to be trailblazers, because many of them already are trailblazers in their own right.
Coach, kind of having said all that, how much has your head been spinning trying to juggle as many plates, not only recruiting, but also just trying to lift this team off the ground? And I guess, if you had to assign a percentage to being quote unquote done and getting this thing fully formed in your mind, or give us an idea of kind of where we're at in that regard.
Well, it's kind of like watching a Ferrari drive down the road at 200 miles an hour. Like, it looks like the wheels aren't even spinning. Like, that's my head right now. It's literally doing circles. Just got off the phone with possible, or having donor conversations, and right after this, heading to go do some media for the National Hockey League, because they want to help tell our story as well, and some other stuff that I'm helping to support. Like, that's the weight of this moment. That's the for lack of a better term, that's what we have to bear at Tennessee State. Like, we knew what type of lift that it was going to be, but we take it day by day. We take it moment by moment. We make sure that each call is intentional. Doing interviews like this, we make sure that, do not disturb, because we want to stay present. But there is a lot that has to get done with recruiting and admissions and all of the admin stuff that happens behind the scenes. And then again, the donor support and, public relations, all of these things. And then we are human beings. Like, you have to sleep at some point in time. You got to make a meal. Like, I'm telling you, I'm looking at a meal that I haven't eaten yet, because, just going from call to call to call. But that's what's necessary. Again, you only get a couple of these opportunities in your life if you're lucky. Some of us never get an opportunity, but this may be my only one to be able to build something from scratch. And if I got to miss a couple meals or a couple nights at home with the family, or spend my own money on recruiting, like, it's what's necessary.
It sounds like the support is obviously there from a donor perspective. I'm also very intrigued by, the NHL and some initiatives kind of getting involved there. But I'm also just flat out curious, kind of student body wise, how difficult, or is it difficult? Is the buzz kind of still there? We know it was there at launch. And how do you kind of maintain that student momentum for a product you kind of can't reach out and touch just yet?
Well, that's the biggest thing. Like, you can't really reach out and touch it yet. But getting on campus and speaking with the individuals on campus about just, what is your understanding of hockey? And it's hard to gauge their interest right now. It's hard to really build that buzz right now, because we still have, spring semester and then the summer. But next, obviously, August and September, when the players are actually on campus, when there's the apparels walking around campus, when you're sitting in class with individuals that have come to this institution to be educated and also are going to be playing on the hockey team. Now that's where the buzz really comes from. It's no longer you're being told about something that's coming in the future. This is actually here, and it's happening as you're on this campus. So is it a hard conversation? I'd say yes, with the individuals on campus, but off campus, the alumni, we're speaking often with the alumni, that type of support, because they're not on the campus. Those individuals are ready for it. Those individuals want to purchase jerseys and tickets. So that buzz has been really good also.
Yeah.
I want one of those sweaters myself, I do believe, Coach. We're going to try to get up an image of that and you modeling it. But Dewante Abercrombie joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Coach, when you talk about we knew how heavy the lift was, did you really know how heavy the lift was going to be? I mean, have you gotten into it? And geez, this is a lot. I mean,
did I know exactly how hard? No, but you know that you're in for a battle. You know that you're in to do something that's never been done before. It's like trying to put on weight as a bodybuilder. You don't know which day, you're going to be able to bench past whatever your last max was, but you're building each day to make that day greater than the day that you just had. And that's the confidence that I have to walk in every single day with, knowing that I have a support system around myself, knowing that I have somebody that's been at the school for multiple years in Nick Guerrero that understands the inner workings of TSU and also the athletic department, knowing that we have people that are willing to pick up the phone and advocate for us outside of ourselves. Again, you don't know what calls you may ask somebody to make. You don't know which person you may ask somebody to send an email to, but you know that those connections are there. So again, and I think it just comes from my past, having done things that traditionally people that look like me aren't capable of doing. many people would say that those were impossible lifts and those were able to be achieved. And here's just another moment that we have to dominate.
Talk about your past, Coach, for those who may not be familiar with prior to TSU, your background. What have you been involved with from a hockey standpoint that got you to Nashville, to this situation?
Well, it started Fort DuPont. Inner city program in Washington, D.C. is the oldest diversity program in the entire world. The person that started is actually in the USA Hockey Hall of Fame. Neil Henderson started the Cannons program a long time ago. And he, on a daily basis, would meet you with positivity and honestly a perspective that many of us didn't get. Like, I was born to a single mom, 19 years old when she had me. Dad had issues and ended up in places that you don't want to end up. And I didn't have a relationship with him growing up. So that was my start. That was my introduction to hockey. But I got to experience hockey as myself. Like, my entire team, well, pretty much my entire team was Black inner city kids coming from, I guess you could call it, rough backgrounds. It's hard to say that because I loved my upbringing. But when I actually had a friend when I was in high school get dropped off at my house, picked up from my house, and his dad told him, "Yeah, you're never going back to that house ever again." I was allowed to go visit him at his place where his parents felt comfortable, but he wasn't able to come to my neck of the woods. So again, that was my upbringing, but it went from Fort DuPont, then it went to Gonzaga, which is just high school hockey. I had a couple friends end up playing Division I college hockey and pro hockey from there. But I think that it really took a turn for me when one of my former high school teammates ended up playing in the Capitals development camp. So I had the opportunity to coach Nashville's development camp last summer. That same level of player or competition is where he was competing. I'm like, you know what? I used to sit next to this dude. Like, I know that I can compete at that level. I may need a little bit more training, but I can compete at that level because I see somebody that I know personally competing at that level. And that's when I started to train and then eventually played a little bit of pro, and then turned into coaching. And it was, I guess, 7 years ago that I really took coaching serious and started doing it professionally. And I've gone from youth hockey, Washington Little Caps, prep school hockey, Gonzaga College High School and Georgetown Prep, NCAA D3, Stevenson University in Baltimore, a foray in many different programs and opportunities in the NHL with different clubs, Arizona Coyotes, now the Utah Hockey Club, the Boston Bruins at the scouting mentorship program, Washington Capitals on the Black Hockey Committee and running the Rising Stars, and you know, the ultimate job, which was a dream come true, working for the Toronto Maple Leafs as the coaching development associate, which essentially I'm an assistant coach for all three teams. I did over 120 pro games that year, whether it's pre-scout, being on the bench, 5-on-5 eye in the sky, practice planning, making adjustments. You know, again, a kid from a single mom, 19 years old when she had me, Washington, D.C., had the keys to Scotiabank Arena and was able to walk in whenever I wanted. Like, that was powerful. And then coming from that, it was like, what do I do next? And Nick calls, and I was like, this is it. Like, hey, there's not even a question. Like, we talked in December, and he could tell in my voice that, all right, I'm in. If you want to sign me right now, I'm absolutely in, because this needs to happen for hockey, because hockey's ready for it, and so is the world.
There it is. There is Coach Abercrombie in the TSU hockey sweater. And yeah, I'm going to have one of those, Coach. So when those become available, let me know, because we're in. You know, just how exciting is it? Obviously, you've got a lot going on. Your head is spinning, but as you realize that in October, you're going to be putting a team on the ice, just when you stop and think about that for a minute, and the fact that it will be the first HBCU hockey team, just with everything that you've done in your background, what is the degree, what is the level of excitement around the fact that you are the architect of this?
Oh, it's going to be one of those extremely emotional. I don't even know what that moment honestly is. Sometimes you can, the moment you're extremely emotional, or the moment is you're just frozen. But either way, I know that there will be a reaction from me, and rightfully so. Being born and raised in an HBCU family, having attended an HBCU myself, meeting my wife at an HBCU, my cousins and I know tons of people in the HBCU space, like that level of culture and it's just different. I'm not saying it's better. I'm not saying it's worse, but it's different. And there's so many different opinions and different ways of living that all love hockey. That's one thing I got to experience in many different markets, and even with the Nashville Predators. Everybody's allowed to enjoy the game their way, for the most part, especially when it comes to the big clubs. And I think that it's starting to trickle down to junior hockey, the NCAA, youth hockey, where people are allowed to be themselves in this sport. And that's coming from traditional hockey players or hockey families and non-traditional hockey players and hockey families. And that's why when we drop the puck in October, the representation that's going to be there is something that we can't even really predict, because this touches home for so many more people than we could ever imagine.
Coach, you were talking about the Northeast and talking about college hockey. I got to ask, did you get a chance to watch at least the finish of Cornell, Michigan State? And for those, non-Spartan fans, can you kind of paint the picture? Because it would be really sweet. I'm just already envisioning, we got a long way to go, but TSU pulling off a stunner like that, knocking off the number one team, is something I think would be so awesome here in Nashville.
Well, I didn't get a chance to watch the game last night. I was actually helping out there's some programs that run that are pretty much like Fort DuPont that run here in the United States. And I believe there's one in Canada. I was sitting with their director boards and trying to help them through some of their processes, but I have heard about it. And I sat with two very prominent Michigan State alums earlier today, and they were pretty bummed and still talking about it. I can only imagine when I get a chance to go see what happened, something wild. But you said it was the Cornell game, right?
Yeah, Cornell wins with about 10 seconds left, and I'm a Michigan fan, so I just got to twist the knife a little bit. So I had to bring up Sparta. Michigan missed the tournament, so I got to live vicariously by Michigan State agony. So I apologize.
Well,
Thank you for humoring me.
If you're a Michigan person, tell Narado, like, hey, like, you're going to get these guys on the schedule. No, that's a joke. Like, Narado's actually a really good guy. He's been a really big supporter of us behind the scenes, and I know that we'll get on their schedule at some point, whether it's up in Ann Arbor, or whether they're coming down to Nashville, and we're playing really close to Broadway.
Coach, what is the schedule looking like?
Yeah,
we're already over our games from a planning standpoint. Just given the situation that we find ourselves in at Tennessee State, a lot of our funding is going to be private. Not a lot of it. Our entire first year is privately funded. So there's certain things you have to do before you can actually execute a game contract. But we have enough game contracts where we will be not just NCAA Division I, but to my knowledge, and things can change because there's always legislation that's changing, but eligible for the NCAA tournament in our first year.
That sounds fantastic. And Coach, it's interesting that this has taken place at Tennessee State here in Nashville, because Fisk just a couple of years ago became the first HBCU to sponsor women's gymnastics, and now this is happening here. Are you speaking with other HBCUs or other people, other schools kind of wanting to follow in y'all's footsteps? Are they in contact with y'all, seeing how this is developing and considering doing so themselves?
Well, I've always believed that HBCUs have done a really good job of educating people from the inception. And now we're at a point where, you have HBCU graduates that are vice presidents of the United States of America. Like that goes to show that there's a level of achievement that we have reached, those that have attended HBCUs, regardless of your background. And those people's children now want to attend an HBCU that more directly represents their upbringing. We still offer everything that an HBCU typically offers, but now, we've grown up in worlds where we go to private schools and play hockey and play lacrosse and do gymnastics and tennis and all these other different sports. So the offerings on campus, I think we're doing a really good job of growing with our alumni. So Fisk having a gymnastics program is unreal. I actually follow them and shot them a couple messages as they had their recent success. I can't remember her name, but one of their athletes posted a perfect 10 not too long ago, probably, 3-4 weeks ago. And I immediately shot that out there on my Instagram story, because it's it's celebrating greatness, and that was a moment of greatness that needed to be celebrated.
Coach, I got to ask you don't got to name anybody by name, but is there anybody just strolling around the campus at TSU that has either approached you or you've approached him and say, hey, I could make this team? I'm just curious. I got a feeling there's randomly somebody on campus that could have some hockey chops. Whether they can make the team or not, I guess, is not sure. But I'm curious if you've had any interactions like that.
Maybe no interactions where somebody says that they can make the team, but definitely faculty, staff, and even students that they have experienced hockey before. They love hockey, or their kid plays hockey, or they love going to Predators games, or wherever they come from in the States. They love going to go watch those NHL games. Like, so there's hockey supporters already on TSU's campus. And that's one thing that when I attended Hampton, I used to walk around with my hockey stick and stick handle when I was there. Like, hockey has been on HBCU campuses for years. But finally we get an opportunity to represent on the ice as well.
Coach, I understand that you are in Minnesota for a Willie O'Ree event this weekend. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Just being a part of something honoring the first black hockey player in the NHL, I guess that's just part of your ambassador type position, the role that you're filling in addition to fundraiser and coach for Tennessee State hockey.
Well, I actually told them this earlier today. Like, it'd be hard for you to see it, but that's me at this kid's age. This is 1997. I attended this same event. It was in Chicago, and it's the Willie O'Ree Skills event. This is all about giving back. I wanted to play professional hockey because I understood that when you get to that level, you now are validated at a point where you can now start to speak on your experiences and maybe help impact the next generation. And then now, obviously, being a D1 coach, having coached in the NHL, I've been blessed to have a platform. I've been blessed to be able to be in positions like this and talk to people like you and be on platforms that allow me to speak about why I appreciate the growth of hockey. So now being able to be asked to come back and be the lead instructor or the one running this entire weekend, it's a full circle moment. Because I sat in those seats. I know exactly what it means to look up with all of this drive and all of this ambition to want to achieve in this sport. And now I get to help the next generation. And that's my lesson to everybody. Like, if you've been blessed to sit in a certain seat, make sure that you're reaching back and reaching to help the next group.
Dwante Abercrombie, Tennessee State men's hockey coach, joining us here on Main Street Sports today. You can follow TSU Hockey on X or on Twitter at TSU Tigers Hockey. You can follow Coach Abercrombie at BLKHKY. That's Black Hockey for the uninitiated. Coach, thank you so much for spending some time with us today, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on the ice here real soon.
Yeah, thanks so much. And if any of your supporters want to help us, TSU Hockey as one word to 41444. Just text that to be able to contribute to our success in our first year.
Absolutely. Love it. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
All right.
Hi, I'm Riley, a certified physician associate here at Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee. We have a couple locations, Murfreesboro, McMinnville, as well as Franklin. We treat people of all ages. We're excited to get you back on your feet and hope we can help you today.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Throwback Thursday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. Wade Neely will be back directly. There he is.
I don't know what happened there.
Hey,
I fell under the spell of Coach Abercrombie, man. He is great to talk to, great to listen to. Oh, yeah, Andy knows his hockey, too.
And no doubt, absolutely. The Triple Crown over there at TSU, obviously. Keeping the party rolling, we are pleased to be joined now by Travis Copley of Old Hickory Bats, because bats have kind of been the topic of conversation across Major League Baseball here over the past, 10 days or so. T-Cop is joining us audio only, but Travis, thanks for taking some time with us today. Good afternoon.
My pleasure, Mo. Wade, how you doing, man?
Hey, good.
Travis, torpedo bats didn't just come out of nowhere this year. I mean, take us back to what we should know about these bats, prior to the Yankees bludgeoning the Brewers with them over opening weekend of the season.
Right. So the timeline on these things track back to 2023. That's when we first got involved with the Yankees and kind of designing some bats using data that they had accumulated with specific players. The thought process there was to take the bat customization to a different level. And they were looking at things like swing and miss rate, contact point, exit velocities off of different parts of the bat, how a certain mass in a certain area affects the flight of the ball, all that stuff that's really over my head. And so what they were able to do is kind of come back to us with some design ideas. We were able to put some bats together. I can promise you they were not called torpedo bats in 2023. That has kind of taken on a life of its own. But that was kind of the infancy of what is now deemed the torpedo bat and what we're seeing in the major leagues now.
Okay, so those are y'all's bats?
The ones that the Yankees were using, I believe, were Victus, Marucci, and Chandler, the three guys, or Louisville Slugger.
Oh, okay.
Three guys. But yes, I think you hit the nail on the head earlier. This didn't just happen a week and a half ago. For us at Old Hickory, we started introducing these things right about the All-Star break of last year to certain guys, and really with a different purpose to them than what they're seeing now. And as we've learned our way through this and continue to learn our way through this, and by a week and a half after opening day, every team has started some sort of program to analyze this further. We have meetings daily on reconfiguring bat barrels and shifting the center mass and balance points and all that good stuff.
How much does your background as a player, Travis, help you in this whole discourse?
I feel like quite a bit. You know, I'm a little bit older now, but I still speak the baseball language, and so you've really got two languages being spoken right now. You've got the scientific language, and then the ball player language. And I, in no shape or form, am I putting myself in the scientific category, but I understand it just enough to be dangerous. But I feel like I can translate it pretty well to the players. And then the flip side of that is I can take what the players are telling us and showing us, and translate that back into some data that we can use to build their bats.
You know, I'm not a very bright individual, I guess, but I just never thought about exit velocities off of different parts of the bat. I just thought about off the bat, whether it's off the end of the bat, whether it's off the center, whether it's by the label. I mean, I know that there is obviously a place on the bat where you want to make contact, but I just never really was getting that deep into it as a fan. Obviously, there are other people who are paid to dig a little deeper into that, and that's what they've done here.
Well, and I'll tell you, I think the most interesting thing that I've learned to date with this is that if you were to ask the average player, we'll just take a player at any level that's not kind of, you know, studying this new wave of bat designs, and ask them to point out the sweet spot in their bat, and then you were to go analyze where they're actually hitting the ball, on average, they're about 3 inches lower where they think they're hitting and where they actually are hitting.
Oh, wow.
And that's kind of the crux of this program is, you know, A, you guys don't hit the ball where you think you're hitting the ball, and B, what if we were to make that the biggest part of the bat?
That's the part that I find fascinating, Travis, and I'm also curious, kind of what was the real genesis on this? You know, we've heard kind of so much. I feel like we're all trying to become experts as quick as we can on this phenomenon here, but was this something, was it just kind of a wild idea, or, you know, was this something that there was some real science behind it? It just took a while to implement, and we're just kind of now, like you said, 2 years after the fact, really kind of seeing it take off.
I think it was a couple of wild ideas that were brought forth at the exact time that and I don't want to say science, but the technology allowed them to be kind of experimented with. And so I think you had some teams that were concerned about the swing and miss rate with their players. Obviously with exit velocity, they've actually created a term now. It's called deviated exit velocity, or deviated launch angle, excuse me. And it's basically where you hit a ball off the center of the bat and you get like a great launch angle, but now they're wondering if that ball could have gone foul, if that bat was a different shape, and you get another life at the plate. So yeah, it was kind of, you know, we're swinging and missing too much. Let's not change swings. Let's change the bats, kind of an idea thing. And then all of a sudden the scientific people went, well, we have this great system called the Hawkeye system that can actually, we can put in what size bat Mike Trout's swinging, and we can show exactly where he's hitting the ball most consistent on his home runs, his doubles, his miss hits. And then if we can marry those two together, let's see what happens.
I'm also curious, there may not be a right answer for this, but say we're on humor me here, on a scale of 1 to 100, kind of how close is this, too close to breaking the rules for MLB's liking? Are we teetering toward that? Are we putting it right up to the edge, or do we still have some room for growth, I guess, in this area, do you think?
The way the rules are written right now, it's a 0 on that scale.
Okay.
It conforms in every way to what Major League Baseball has laid out. The last major rules adjustment was 2009, I think, 9 or 10, right in there. And so, yeah, it follows along with what they've implemented, what has worked for the last decade and a half, as far as the bat safety and the bat performance goes. They're just weird looking. And I think that's what took everybody off guard with it. You know, if the Yankees had come out and hit, you know, a dozen home runs opening weekend and somebody asked what they did differently, and they said, oh, it was a bunch of swing mechanic changes, this is a non-story at that point. But when they came out and said, oh, torpedo bats, everybody went, wait, what? What's a torpedo bat? And, you know, then you get, you know, Jazz Chisholm having to go online saying, I'm not hitting the ball off of my trademark. That would break the bat. He's absolutely right. But, you know, that was one of the first stories that came out with him, is that he was hitting the ball so low that they blew up the trademark for him so he could hit.
And I suppose we're not having this conversation if the Yankees score 3 runs on opening weekend. That's the part that's you got to have a little bit of a spark, kind of like going viral on the internet, right? I mean, it seems like lightning in a bottle sense. And the real question, I guess, I'm also fascinated by is how much now is this going to become a copycat issue? Because Mo and I both have talked with multiple guests. Baseball is such a weird and kind of unique and niche sport in terms of its idiosyncrasies. And it feels like some guys, you could give them all the data in the world, and if it just doesn't feel right, they're not going to adjust to it.
So, funny story, the Saturday night of opening day weekend, the first phone call I got from a player, his question was, if the Yankees hit $135 this year, is the torpedo bat still a thing?
I mean, it's fair to ask, right?
Yeah, probably not, but they didn't, and I don't think they will. So we probably need to look into this. The second part of that, I think there's enough science behind this and enough data that proves this to be a worthy venture. Maybe not for all players, but for a lot of players. I think it does start out as kind of a copycat type of deal. Where it gets really interesting on the bat manufacturing side and even the player side is that it's something other than the length, weight, and color that you can customize on a bat for a guy. Like, we can literally take data from individual players and create their own unique bat. And so we
like a golf club, essentially, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we talked about, you guys are familiar with bat models, a C271. In a couple of years, that doesn't exist anymore. Now it's a Mo Patton one and a, Wade the Hammer one. And those are your bats. Like that, nobody else would use them. They may pick it up and like it and go, hey, can you take this bat? But here's my data, and now customize it to me. So it's almost like a golf club where we're fitting barrels onto handles of bats to make guys more productive at the plate.
Travis Copley of Old Hickory Bats joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, and dropping some knowledge on us regarding the famous or infamous torpedo bats. Obviously, again, it was the Yankees' performance in that opening weekend series against Milwaukee that kind of thrust these bats to the forefront. And it's funny, Travis, because Wade made the point that maybe it ain't the bats, maybe it's the Brewers pitchers. And it's to that point, both of them have kind of settled down. The Yankees have not obviously kept up that pace. The Brewers have thrown it a little bit better here of late. But do you expect this to continue? I mean, is it going to be a thing, or does this kind of become less of a talking point by the All-Star break?
I think out in front of the game, it becomes less of a talking point, but behind the scenes, it hasn't slowed down. You're talking about a game where 1 mile an hour, a half an inch, a half a step, a wrong angle is a difference in a hit, an error, an out, $1 million, $10 million. So if there's a perceived advantage there for a player, whether it's a hitter, pitcher, whatever, they're going to, and I hate to use the word exploit, they're going to research that until they're confident that either, yes, this is for me, or no, it's not. My best guess on this is that as this continues, I don't think that the quote unquote torpedo bats are going away. I think they will kind of settle down in their shape and design, because I think guys that have, especially guys that have used one style of bat, one profile of bat for any length of time, are going to want these torpedo bats to feel more and more like what they're used to. And that will necessitate even more design changes on our end, where I think the barrels will kind of creep back into normalcy. Now, with all these teams starting new programs, I also think that this is going to be kind of like a wave rollout, where you're going to have 2 or 3 teams that hit on it, and all of a sudden they're all swinging the torpedo bat. So that's where I think it would stay out in front of the game, but behind the scenes, it's definitely we're texting, calling, emailing, conference calling with people and teams every day.
How far down does this come, Travis? I mean, you've got a youngster who played at Page. I mean, does this come down to minor leagues, to college, to high school, to youth ball? I mean, how far down do the torpedo bats get in some way, shape, or form.
In the wood bat world, it's going to go all the way down to youth amateur ball, which is 8th grade through college summer ball. I don't know. Let me back up. I think it will make an appearance in the aluminum bat world, but I think when you really get into why this is being done and what you're trying to accomplish with it, it doesn't make a ton of sense in aluminum bats. It makes a lot more sense in wood bats with it. But yeah, I mean, my younger son's 17 years old. He's a senior, and every day he asks where his torpedo bat is.
Well, where is it, Dad?
No, it's in process.
Travis, is there a weather component to this? Is this something that swings pardon my pun there, swings one way or the other, better, worse? Is there any sort of weather element at play with this as we heat up?
Could be. I mean, we're so far on the front end of this that a lot of these questions we don't have answers for. The one we get a lot is the torpedo bat more or less durable than a traditional shape bat? Don't have an answer for you. We'll have to let that play out and see what the results are. The one nice thing about that is Major League Baseball at the big league level, they collect and notarize all broken bats in games. So we'll start getting numbers on that back pretty quick.
Yeah.
T-Cop, always fun getting to catch up with you, man. Really appreciate you shedding some light on this situation as only you could. And thank you for your time.
No, my pleasure, guys. I appreciate it. And Mo, look forward to seeing you at the ball yard soon.
Sounds good, man. Thank you. Travis Copley of Old Hickory Bats joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Let's go ahead and take a break, come back and finish things up with a little bit more baseball. Stay tuned.
Hey, let's go Stros.
People are amazed at the variety and quality of guests we bring into Main Street Sports Today. But when you've been in this business for nearly 40 years and you never throw away a phone number, it's pretty easy. Right, Wade?
Absolutely.
And Wynn agrees with me.
Check out some of our guests featured on Main Street Sports Today.
Step back and catch my breath. But I expect nothing less from you, big boy. Let's get going.
We make it work pretty good. So
the fans are tremendous.
It's fantastic.
It was really amazing.
Yeah.
From preps to pros, you never know who's going to stop by, so be sure to listen to and watch Main Street Sports Today from 2 to 4 p.m. daily on the MSM TV app. April 10th, 2012, after losing their first 4 games of the season and their last 5 to end 2011 out of the playoffs, the Atlanta Braves down host Houston 6-4. Sorry, Wade. Chipper Jones homered in his season debut, and the Rev, Tyler Pasternicki, hit the first home run of his major league career, while Dan Uggla matched Chipper's 2 hits on the day. Tommy Hanson struck out 8 in 5 innings for the win, with Craig Kimbrell throwing the last of 2 2/3 scoreless out of the bullpen behind Eric O'Flaherty and Johnny Venters. That was this day in Braves history. Kimbrell, by the way, working his way back to the major leagues, a late signing by the Atlanta Braves, still in Florida, getting ready to start facing hitters here over the next bit. And then he will start his path through the Braves minor league system and hopefully sometime next month get to Truist Park and help shore up a bullpen that has been inconsistent at best. And we saw that yet again last night, because after Grant Holmes gave you 4 scoreless innings, the pen gives up a pair of home runs late in a 4-3 Philadelphia victory. Specifically, Bryce Harper puts them ahead with a 2-run homer in the 7th. Braves scrap back, and then Turner hits a rocket off Raziel Iglesias in the 9th that turned out to be the game winner. Again, 4-3 Phillies to even that series. And, you know, it's tough from the standpoint that everybody's going to have an off day, and you still want the ball in Iglesias's hands in a tie ball game at home in the 9th inning, and that's not going to change. Things happen. Sometimes you eat the bear, sometimes the bear eats you. I get it. But it's really magnified, A, in that situation, and B, when you're 2-8 going into the ball game. So that was a tough one to swallow last night.
Yeah, you said it best, right? If the Braves are 9-1, you're probably not feeling quite as bad, but it already, there's just this natural inclination. Everything kind of is just artificially magnified right now, considering the record and considering the opponent for sure. So long game, long season. If you can keep things in perspective, that's probably always for the better. But it does sting considering you had them right there, and it was a frustrating one to let off the hook, to say the least.
5 relievers coming in behind Holmes, who again struck out 6 over 4 scoreless innings, allowed just 3 hits. Bummer gives up a run in an inning and in an inning and a third. Dylan Lee gives up 2 runs. I think that was the Harper home run on 2 hits in an inning. And obviously Iglesias strikes out 3, but gives up the Trey Turner home run, falls to 0-2 early in the season with that loss. So the Braves will try to go get him yet again. It'll be Jesus Luzardo on the bump for Philadelphia. He's 2-0 with a 1.50 ERA. It's Spencer Schwellenbach going for the Braves. He's won his only decision, has yet to give up an earned run. So should be a good one in the finale before they head out for Tampa Bay, I believe, which at Steinbrenner Field. That ought to be fun.
Yeah, it'd be nice to grab another win. Man, get one over on the Phillies. Just kind of let them know that even though your record is what it is, that you're still going to have something to say, and they're going to have to earn every single win versus that team. So a win would go a long way for confidence today, of course, but it certainly feels like it would do confidence down the stretch. And obviously you get into, not necessarily a tiebreaker situation, but you may run into a spot where having some more wins versus them or versus division opponents could play a factor. So you'll take anything you can get.
And, by getting that first win on Tuesday night over Zach Wheeler, you put yourself in position to some kind of way win the series regardless. You're going to have a chance to win the series at best.
Right.
And after dropping last night, you still got an opportunity to win the series. And as has been said around Atlanta and around baseball for so long as you win series, you give yourself a chance. So this would be a big one if they could get it tonight. Meanwhile, news from Gwinnett, or more specifically from Norfolk, I believe, Spencer Strider made a rehab start for the Gwinnett Stripers, 1P. Faced 10 hitters over 3 innings. Do the math. He gave up 1 hit. He struck out 9. Defense kind of threw their gloves back in the dugout, I guess. 9 strikeouts in 3 innings. That's pretty impressive. Maybe he's ready. It kind of becomes a situation where, maybe we're wasting those performances at the AAA level. Maybe he needs to get on up here and do that here. So stay tuned as far as that one goes. Houston dropped a tough one last night, Wade. Seattle scores 7 runs in the 8th and 9th. Randy Arozarena doing Randy Arozarena things, a grand slam in the 8th, and then draws a walk-off walk in the 9th to push the Mariners over the top 7-6.
Yeah, it was not pretty for Houston. And, man, Seattle, don't know if it was Houston being bad, Seattle being good, but it feels like after an early season funk, Seattle's kind of maybe the Astros coming to town were just what the doctor ordered because, yeah, they've looked like the team we kind of maybe thought they would. And it's not necessarily rosy in H-Town these days. So they got to go back to the drawing board. That is kind of not very inspiring. Dropping 2 or 3. They were all close games. They're all one-run games, which is kind of wild on the road. So, I mean, a different swing here, a different at-bat there. And maybe, they're 2 wins to the good, or dare I say even 3 wins to the good. But back to the drawing board. Got the Angels coming up tomorrow night. Traditionally, this is a series you should take care of business, but the Angels find themselves just a half game back in the West at the moment.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy to me that the Angels are playing as well as they are to this point. But glad to see it for Ron Washington and that bunch. So good for him. Hey, I got to revisit the Spencer Strider start today. The numbers that I got were early numbers. He eventually went 5 1/3, struck out 13.
Oh, mama.
Yeah, 3 hits, gave up 1 earned run, walked a pair. 13 strikeouts. He went out. He was on a 90 pitch count and left with a 2-strike count on one of the Norfolk hitters because it was a hard 90 clearly. But again, he faced 21 batters and struck out 13 of them. It still, stands to reason that he ain't going to be down there a whole lot longer.
Mm-mm. Save some for the rest, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. That loss for Houston was a tough one, but it was probably a tougher announcement earlier in the week, if not for the Astros, certainly for Astros fans, when the American and the National League Players of the Week from last week were announced. From the National League, it was Chicago Cubs outfielder Kyle Tucker. From the American League, it was Boston Red Sox third baseman Alex Bregman. And if you are an Astros fan, those names sound quite familiar. Bregman hit 407 last week, drove in 10 runs. Tucker hit 391 and hit 3 homers. And at some Astro fan tweeted, imagine if these guys were both on the same team. Pretty wild to think about.
Yeah, this is a tough. I just wrapped up a good dose of crow sandwich earlier because, man, it's tough seeing those guys do so well. We certainly within Houston have kind of wished them well. It's one of those situations where you would have liked to keep
right?
Bregman. Yeah. Bregman would have been a little bit, different because he was right there in the mix. But you trade Tucker away, you're kind of in theory, cashing in on perhaps maximum value there and trying to get ready for the future. So that one's a little easier to swallow. And the fact, obviously, it's in the National League. But, yeah, Bregman really, really stings because you were right there in the mix at the very end to maybe keep him. And I don't know. Felt like he had maybe potentially taken a step back or two the last couple of seasons. But at least right now he is off to a hot start with his new club.
Bregman, 11 for 27. 5 doubles, 2 home runs, 10 ribs last week. Tucker, 9 for 23, 3 homers, 8 ribs, and 11 runs scored. So, yeah, they both were pretty torrid last week. Again, unfortunate if you're an Astros fan. I'm sure that Dana Brown and the Astros just kind of nodded and went on about their business when they heard that. But, yeah, that's kind of tough to see. Obviously, a guy who Atlanta Braves fans, among others, would never expect to hear his name mentioned in the same phrase with no hitter, is Eric Fetty, who used to be the Braves punching bag when he was with the Nationals, but he went overseas, pitched a little bit, came back, pitched for the White Sox, and did fairly well, and had a no-hitter through 6 innings last night for the St. Louis Cardinals against the Pirates, but had thrown 88 pitches because of 4 walks and got pulled. Pittsburgh eventually wins the game 2-1 in 13. Friend of the show, John Parado, quoting Fetty here, Marmol explained to me, that's Cardinals manager Oliver Marmol, explained to me that he just didn't want to extend me, and I understood the season is a marathon, right? Something that's fun and exciting, and you want to chase a no-hitter as long as you can. But I get the decision. I've got to save some pitches if I want to make it all the way to the end of the season. This was his 3rd start. Again, he threw 88 pitches. In his previous 2 starts, he had thrown 73 and 65. So St. Louis being cautious with the free agent signee. Each of his 4 walks led off an inning. But he got 2 double plays and nobody advanced past first in his 6 innings of work. So solid performance there. Again, a little surprising. Pretty.
Yeah, and we've seen some early hooks in this. I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? I mean,
it really does.
You don't want to. The last thing you want is to run into an injury situation because you sent a guy out in an April ball game. You know, and we saw this even a couple times last year. You got the no hit going, the diminished innings or pitch count, if you will, for these starters is a real factor, and it seems like it is struck early this season.
Yeah, again, Pittsburgh winning that game 2-1. St. Louis's 1 hit came from enigmatic Cardinals outfielder Jordan Walker, who has been up and down between St. Louis and Memphis for the last couple of years. Right now, he's in St. Louis, or in Pittsburgh, actually. Drove in a run with a pinch hit single in the 12th before Pittsburgh eventually won that game, scoring in the 13th. So, yeah, that's a kid that ideally they will leave alone and just let him become a superstar because he's got all the makings if they don't screw him up. So
yeah, and to this point too, Marmol, I had to double check this to make sure, but it was Sonny Gray just the night prior, 5 innings, striking out 4. He'd only given up 3 hits, and they yank him after 5 innings despite only throwing 71 pitches. So Marmol definitely kind of playing it safe right now, and at least for the time being, it's kind of worked in St. Louis's favor by and large over the course of the season. They're playing a little better, I think, than some folks might have anticipated coming into this year.
And they're being cautious, and as you said, with the money that you've got in some of those guys and that kind of thing, you can hardly blame them. We got a legacy joining the Sounds today. Daz Cameron, a 28-year-old outfielder who was the number 37 pick by the Astros in 2015, has been activated after being acquired from Baltimore. Daz is the son of longtime major leaguer Mike Cameron, who also is a former Sound. So I think Mike made a rehab appearance with the Sounds back in the day. Daz is going to be here for a bit, hopefully, and hopefully things will turn out well for him. So let's keep an eye on that as they continue their series at First Horizon Park against Pittsburgh. Against Memphis. Close. That's going to do it for Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Come back and join us tomorrow at 2 o'clock. We will have Chris Lee talking a little Southeastern Conference baseball and check in and see who else. We'll see y'all 2 o'clock tomorrow.